Hey, this is Brother Jeff. I'm going to walk you through the Scientist Storyline Challenge game. And let's go ahead and take a look how this game works before we get into storyline and how it's edited. So when the learner comes to this game, all they see is the logo, which you can change out the logo, and then a continue button. This continue button takes you to the instructions where you see the instruction header as well as the instruction text, and then just a button to start there. Now it gets you into your questions, and it will go through question by question. However many number of questions that you want to ask. The max is 15, but the minimum can be really 1 if you wanted to go down that low. Now, then you have 4 different options for the possible answers. If the learner chooses incorrect, it will actually fill up this canister here and then crack a little bit, showing an X that they got the question incorrect. And then they have the option to try it again and see if they can get the answer correct. If they get the answer correct, you'll notice over on the top here, we get the points for this question, and the canister fills up with green instead of red here, and then we can continue on to question 2. So that's pretty much it. You go through all the different questions, answering them, getting the canister to fill up and if you get it incorrect, then it fills up with red and cracks and everything. So that's really the point of the game. Now, inside of storyline, in any course that you want, you can insert this game at any point. Once you've downloaded the file from the library, you just double click on it and then it imports it inside of your storyline template section. Now you can access this, then you can delete the file that gets downloaded, then you can access this game at any point of your course just by inserting a new slide, going to the templates category, selecting the drop down box and finding the scientist game there. Now, once you have that selected, go ahead and hit imports, and this will import it inside of your course. And once it imports it inside of your course, you can start editing the different content, questions, possible answers, and variables and everything right within inside of here. Now, you'll notice here, let me zoom out a little bit and zoom over. You'll notice over here on the first slide that we have some instructions. Now these instructions will tell you about some important things to know as you're building this game, and also some important variables. There's 2 important variables for this game. One is the scientist number of questions, and this is the number of questions you want to ask. And then this is the next one is the scientist add points per right question. This is the number of points that get added every time you get a correct answer. And now the number of questions, like I mentioned, the max is 15. The reason why is if you come over to the layers, it only really goes up to question 15 within the layers. If you wanted to add beyond that, then you would have to copy those layers and do some changes within the triggers as well. But you can go to the minimum, you can go all the way down to just 1 question. Now the way that you change that is within the variables section by clicking on the X and going to scientist number of questions. You can change the default value from 15 to 5. Now if I do that, when I'm filling out the different layers and questions, I really only need to go up to question 5. I don't need to go beyond that since I'm only asking 5 questions. Now the only other variable that you can change is the scientist add points per right questions. Right now the default is 10, and that means every time I get a question correct, it's going to add 10 points to my value there. And that's pretty much it. Any variable, like all of our other different interactions, any variable that starts with the letter Z, we recommend you do not change those because it could change how the game actually works. So make sure you keep those the same there, but those are necessary in order to run inside of your course. So okay, so at that point, there's really not anything necessary that I need to change on the first screen unless I wanted to change the logo, replace that, or add my own logo. I can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go on to the instructions. Now let me show my layers here. And you can tell on the instructions I have a question or instruction header as well as instruction text. And I can change that to whatever I want, as well as insert. If I wanted to insert an image, I can insert that inside of here as well. That's pretty much it with the instructions. I now go on to my question 1. Now question 1 has question text as well as possible answers. So you can see I can come in here, change my question header, and then my question text as well as the different options. I have 4 different options. Now if I don't want all 4 of those options, I can just go ahead and remove one of them off the stage. This won't affect any of the triggers in case I decide to bring it back on, but it'll at least have it so I don't have to have all 4 options in order for this game to work. Now, just like any other interaction, if you decide that this one is not correct, by default, this one is labeled that it is correct. And if you decide it's not correct, then you need to change what layer gets shown. So you can see in this case, coming over to the triggers, we have option 1, show layer question 1 dash correct. Now option 2 is not correct, so it goes to question 1 dash incorrect. Now this is the same with all of our other interactions. So really, if you decide that option 2 is going to be the correct option, then you just select the drop down box here, select the link, and then choose question 1 correct for option 2, and then come over to option 1 and go to question 1 incorrect for option 1. And now this option is going to be incorrect. This option is going to be correct. And you do the same thing with all of the different questions, deciding which one is correct and which one is not correct. And then from here, I just come over to question 1 correct, and this is my feedback for question 1. I highly recommend you don't change anything inside of this canister layer, because that will affect the how the animation goes. And then I come over here and change my different labels, my different feedback. I can insert images in this location. This is the layout that we recommend. If you wanted to adjust it, you can. But if you insert an image, don't insert it inside of this area. Insert it inside of this gray area. And then I do the same thing with question 1 incorrect. Question 1 incorrect will basically show me the incorrect text. And then also question 1. Now, by default, this actually allows the learner to try it again, and it shows the layer, it goes back to the question. Now, if I decide that I don't want that to happen, if I decide that this try again button will actually continue on to the next question instead of going back to the previous question, then all I have to do is come over to the triggers. So you can see here where it says hide this layer and show layer question 1. Well, we can change that trigger, select the drop down box to jump to slide, and we're going to jump to, not jump to slide, we're going to show layer, and we're going to go ahead and jump to question 2 instead. So when the user clicks this, they're not going to be given the chance to try it again. They're actually just going to go on to the next question. So if they didn't get it right, then they didn't. Then they just continue on to the next question. So if I do that, I may also want to change the label from try again to continue. So those are just some different things that you can do within there. And that's pretty much it. You go through all the different questions, the incorrects, and the feedback, and then you can come up to the results. Now the results will show you some feedback here, some final feedback. You can change this label, you can change the text here, you can add your own images. And then here we have this canister turning into a trophy at the end. So if you wanted to change it to something else, you can. It's completely flexible that way. Well, that's pretty much it. From here, you just start adding on other slides inside of your course. And if you don't want there to be a play again button, you can just move it off the stage as well. Just unlock it and then move it off the stage here. And that way they don't have the option to play it again. But that's how you get started with the Scientist Storyline game.